witches, basically.
That's new.
Coming to you from the Earth dimension, we are your basic witches. I'm Rachel LaForest.
And I'm Leah Cannon. And today in the studio, we have level 3 QHHT practitioner Jeroen de Wit. And it's so fascinating. And one of our listeners actually recommended that we have him on. So thank you. Mm-hmm. I think you witches are going to love it.
Yeah, we talk about how time is a construct, all other dimensions, other beings, and both past life regression and future life exploration. Mm-hmm. Super fascinating.
Yes. And what you witches should do in your future lives is go to iTunes and leave us a review. Leave us a nice little review. Also head to our Instagram at Basic Witches, and there you can find our merch and you can join our Patreon. So come check us out.
And enjoy this episode with Jeroen de Wit. Wow.
Hey witches! Before we dive into this episode, as you know, we are now part of the Soulfire network of podcasts, and Soulfire is full of shows like ours that will help you better your life and create an online space, a community. So we'd like to introduce you to Mother Than Mother podcast.
We know that a lot of you listeners are mothers, so this will be the perfect, holistic, healing-based podcast for mothers.
Yes, they'll tell stories of conception, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, death, owning a business, starting a new business, being a stay-at-home mom, conscious partnerships, therapy, nutrition, alternative healing. They really cover all the spiritual aspects, practical aspects, and just life aspects of motherhood.
Mm-hmm. It's such a powerful time to be a woman in history now more than ever, and it takes a village to raise a confident mother, not just a child.
So if you're looking for a village, then head over to Mother the Mother podcast. Now on to the episode.
Okay, so you are a specialist. This is why we're having you on in QHHT.
Mm-hmm. And we want to know, what the fuck is that?
Break it down.
So QHHT stands for Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. It's a method developed by the late Dolores Cannon. She is a famed past life regressionist. And what was first called past life regression, which is what she did, then later she changed it to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique.
Yeah. So it's basically past life regression stuff.
It is, but she changed it because past life regression wasn't quite accurate. It didn't quite cover what it is that she did because people would go into future lifetimes and, different planets, different galaxies, and healing would take place. So the healing that takes place happens in the quantum, and that's why she calls it that way.
Oh, wow. So what is the quantum? I mean, I think I kind of know, but can you explain what we're referencing?
Yeah, it's the layers of existence beyond the physical. So what's underneath the physical, like quantum physics.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. So like the space in between.
Yeah, energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because isn't it true that, and I know you're not like a quantum physicist, but
I have no idea, no.
But in like sort of layman's terms, we are discovering that much of what exists is actually empty space, or the space in between matter and physical things, and AKA dark matter or energy. So quantum physics is kind of on the edge of studying all that sort of not nothingness, but the space, the huge empty spaces.
It sounds like you know more than I do.
Okay. Yeah. Good job. I am very interested in this.
It's just a name for me, and I just do all the fun stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the fun stuff?
What does that entail?
The fun stuff is, so I see people every day in my office, and then I regress them, and I never know what's going to happen. And that's part of the fun. I'm a Gemini. I love
Me too.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh, what day?
June 20th.
Oh, 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, same week.
The same day as Anne Frank, I believe. Or the Olsen twins. I always get those confused.
Twins.
Okay,
yes,
that's what it is. Anne Frank is June 12th.
Okay.
So I regress people into different experiences, and I never know what we're going to get because really it is about creating a strong opening to a person's higher self, and it'll provide them with the most appropriate experiences. And then so people can go into different lifetimes or future lifetimes, or like yesterday, where did she go? like a space alien.
Whoa.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I'm doing so many now, so I forget what I did the next day. It was quite interesting. But yeah, she went into a different planet and completely different body.
So what does this look like, and how long is a session?
You read my mind.
Okay. So people come into my office after they made an appointment. They'll bring in a list of questions that they prepare, things that they want answers to or healing for. And then we first sit down for about an hour and a half to 2 hours and just talk about their life. It's like an interview where we touch on all the important events that happen in a person's life. And then we'll go over their questions, and then we transfer them onto a comfortable massage table. All of your clothes are on, just your shoes are off, you're covered in our light cover. And then I'll take you through the hypnotic induction. And it's a very gradual process that relaxes people. And then I say, what do you see? And they start describing. And it's different every day.
Wow.
Yeah. So then we explore different lifetimes for about 45 minutes to an hour, and then we get to the point where I call forth a person's subconscious or their soul and ask questions first about the scenes that they were shown and why were they healing, and then we just go down their list of questions and get answers to questions about life purpose or physical issues or spiritual stuff, like anything you want to know.
And when the client who was on the table giving these answers from their subconscious, when the session ends and they come out of hypnosis, do they remember what they said?
It differs. Like most people, I would say they have a bit of a memory of what happened, but it fades really quick. Like when we have a little bit of an after talk, like the details start to fade. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What are the after effects? Like, how does one feel after this session?
Immediately, usually people are a little groggy because they just came back from like interdimensional travel, so it's like a bit of a
Jet lag.
yeah, right.
A little galactic jet lag.
It's a little bit of recombobulation happening there, and so yeah, that's why we just talk with them for a bit to make sure that people are back in their bodies before they drive off. Yeah, so
Oh God, yeah.
immediately after there's just usually that, and people usually look lighter. It's almost like I call it like spiritual Botox. It's like their face is super relaxed, and there's more of themselves present in their eyes. It's
We tapped
remarkable.
the other day with Brad Yates. Do you know who he is? He's amazing, but he does EFT tapping.
Yeah.
And like we took a picture afterwards, and I literally said to Rachel, I felt like I looked different. My eyes were like brighter. So that just reminded me of that.
okay.
I really like that.
Yeah.
And I've had somatic work done, like energy body work done after trauma, and I looked way lighter after. She was doing kind of like Reiki, like pulling energy out.
Right.
So I definitely believe that there is an unseen, like workable energy to us for sure.
Right.
That, yeah.
So who like should or does seek this out?
Really anybody. So
Okay.
the only contraindication, so when it's not good to do this work, is when you're going to be intoxicated on the day of your session. So I write this in my emails. Don't come in using any. I mean, cannabis is okay, but like if you're a drinker, don't drink alcohol. No drugs of any kind. 'Cause we need to have access to you and not, the drugs running in your system. Or if people have been diagnosed with any mental health issues that include psychosis.
Okay.
Because it uses hypnosis, and it's just it can be, it can take a person apart, or it can be too arousing for a person. Yeah.
Does it typically take one session, or do people keep coming back?
It typically takes one, but sometimes people find themselves in such a new sort of sandbox in their life that they want to, figure out what's happening now, So
Yeah.
they've done a session, then everything changes, and then they go like, oh my God, what's going on right now? I need to find out what the new sandbox is. Yeah.
And you told us, because we asked Jeroen to demo QHHT, and he was like, well, it's kind of a 5-hour process. I don't think we could do it on your show. So that's a typical length then of like start to finish seeing
Yes.
a client. Wow.
That must be exhausting for you.
It's not anymore, but when I started doing this full time, there was a bit of a build up or a getting used to for me, where I did like 2 or 3 a week, and then when I started doing more, I would feel tired. And when I started doing this, I became more aware of my own energy anatomy and how to take care of myself doing this work. So now I have this whole process in place in the morning. I say prayers and affirmations, like energy shielding, and then afterwards, I clear. And so Yeah, last night I didn't. I'm not very disciplined. I always think that I can get away with it, so I didn't. Had a huge fight with my husband, and then and so actually I just cleared in the morning right now in the car.
Oh,
so
good.
coming over here,
Oh,
yeah.
What do you mean by clear it? Like with sage or Palo Santo?
I do, clear with sage right after, and then I do this whole energy clearing. I sort of address my energy anatomy. There's different aspects to it that I clear. I disconnect cords. My energy back to me, their energy back to them.
All within your mind's eye, as in like sort of a meditative clearing.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I did a white light meditation this morning. I've been doing one at least once a day. Some days, like a few times. I have a 15-minute one I found on YouTube that I really like.
Nice.
And it's interesting because last night I had a dream. I want to talk to you about dreams since that's subconscious.
Okay.
Last night I had one that was, the message was like, this is the source energy. And what it looked like was a sort of like an ancient Greek house, but on a normal street with normal houses.
Oh.
So columns.
Right.
And shooting out was light, like extreme bright light. And I just understood that this was the source energy.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. What does that mean?
That's what it sounds like. Sorry.
Wait, did you live in this house? Or were you
No,
just
I was
looking at
passing
it?
by looking and just observing it. That was the dream. It was almost like an aerial shot.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But I'm wondering if clients, if dream stuff comes up, because that's subconscious too, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So oftentimes people come in with a question about dreams. If there's recurring dreams, is it a past life? And then they go to that past life and they get a more extended, version of it. Going to source happens a lot. Yeah. It's like it's people either just land in that scene where they're with source. A lot of people have sort of a reset when they start their session. They go into the light. It feels like it's home. And actually,
That's interesting.
My client yesterday went to a similar place where it kind of looked like that. There was like different tiers or levels within this building. And on one level, there were like guides and center masters. And then below were like the unwashed masses, which is be recycled back into another life.
Wait, what is that again? Say that part again.
I'm just making fun of it. But it was like she had died in a past life, and so she arrived in what we relate to as heaven, and she described it as a building with columns. And it's different for everybody, but it's always light. Or they go through a reset first, where everything is dark and there's no visual or any input, and they just rest. And then there is this light place. And for my client yesterday, it looked like kind of like a building with columns. And then so everybody was just coming in. And then these ascended masters were looking onto these people. And I started talking to one of them through my client. And I was asking, like, what is this whole kit and caboodle? What's going on here? And they said, oh, these are the people that are coming in. And they're just here to rest for a bit. And then we'll figure out, where they're going to go next.
Whoa. Yeah. Sort of an in-between.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So you as the practitioner, when you're like, okay, your client is the one on the table, but their subconscious is talking to you or whatever. And
yes,
vocally.
Yes.
Then are you personally like seeing in your minds, like, are your eyes closed? Are you in this visual space and you're like, you ascended master, I want to talk to you. Are you like seeing it?
I do think that sometimes I'm looking at things in my mind's eye, even my eyes are open, but, I might be seeing something in my mind's eye and then my client says, there's this and this and this, and it matches what I'm seeing.
Whoa.
So there's some kind of connection there, but it's all done through my client. So I have them describe the scene. And then if they say, oh, there is this, like yesterday, she talked to Merlin, the wizard. Yeah. So she started describing this person. And then, this is one of the coolest parts of this whole work, where if a being like that shows up, it's kind of like you can ask your client to pass him the phone, because then you can talk to him. And then
put Merlin on
the phone, exactly.
Put him on.
Yeah. And so
Jake, get off the line. I'm on with Merlin.
So in the beginning, it's like they're relaying the answers and the questions, but then gradually they start channeling them. It's super fascinating.
Oh.
Yeah,
So
it's really cool.
So how did you get into this work? Good
question. Looking back, I I was always a bit odd in this world. I could never really relate to what was going on this planet. And I was always looking for sort of the unseen. I kind of knew there was more going on than just all this physical realm. And when I was sort of led into religion, I was raised as a Catholic for a little bit. I looked around and I was like, this is just some bullshit. Some watered down human bullshit. And like, who wants to be looking at, an emaciated naked guy with like blood streaming from his body hanging on the cross? Like, how is this fun or inspiring or... and also the church that I was in, there was no celebration, no spirit, there was nothing, there was no feeling. So it just didn't resonate at all. It was super limited. And so I was looking for an experience of spirit. That was kind of my journey. And let's see, when I was 8 years old, my mom, who was a librarian at the time, brought home a book about out-of-body experiences. And I snatched it from her nightstand, read it, and this was the first time that I saw something outside of myself that matched what I believed to be true, because it was people in different realms, different dimensions, astral plane traveling. And my little 8-year-old self knew that this was true for me. And then life happened, and then I had my spiritual awakening in the late 90s, and that set me on the path of healing.
Was that around your Saturn return?
Yeah, just a little bit before it. But yeah, that was a big part of it. And then I ran into a book by Dolores Cannon, and that was it.
Who is she? I should know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I feel like, but...
Yeah, I speak about her like everybody knows who she is. But she is the woman who developed this technique.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Is she still alive?
She died in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. When did she discover it?
It was a gradual process. She, back in the 60s, she learned to do traditional hypnosis, and she wanted to help people stop smoking and lose weight. And by accident, regress somebody into a past life. And, there was no Google, no YouTube. So, and given where she was in Arkansas, from a Christian background, I think it's really courageous that she... didn't freak out and, call the pastor and, do an exorcism or whatever.
Yeah,
totally.
But she was super fascinated, like, what is going on? And she was able to modify the technique and to regress more people into different lifetimes. And she was really good at documenting. So there's many different books that she's written that now, I think... are part of why we now know what past life regression is, or different lifetimes.
Yeah. I definitely have heard her name, and maybe even Brad Yates might have brought her up, because the tapping guy we were talking to started with hypnosis and hypnotic therapy.
Okay.
That was kind of his path in as well.
Right.
So I feel drawn to this stuff, being that I'm intuitive and empathic, and I feel like I just hear people's feelings when I'm near them instead of like the words they're saying.
Yes.
And I wonder how someone like me could experiment with this or practice. I almost feel like, can I try this on a friend, or would that be dangerous?
I was wondering if I could try it on myself.
You can. There's YouTube videos that have shorter processes. Not so much QHHT. It's a really involved process because you're talking to the higher self. But there is I'm sure there's. I can't direct you anywhere, but I'm sure there's some YouTubes that you can do some 15-minute processes just to tap into it. Yeah.
Like to listen and do it to yourself, sort of guided.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay, that's
Do
cool.
you ever do it to yourself, or do you have someone that you go to for this?
I have somebody to go to.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like hairdressers. I'm always like, do you do your own hair? Or does someone else here do it for you?
Right.
Some of them can cut their own hair,
Yeah.
It's usually, it's not like something I plan. Let's see. So usually it just happens. Like there's a friend that's visiting, one of my good friends from Australia. Whenever she's here, she usually does a session on me.
That's nice.
It just seems to happen that way.
Yeah.
But for my little tune-ups, I have friends, I do Akashic Records reading or something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What do you personally believe that you're tapping into when you're doing this? Is it source, universe, energy? What do you call it?
I don't know a name for that. Yeah,
Okay.
I use those words interchangeably, or God, or Creator, or whatever, Mother God, Universe. Yeah, it's interchangeably.
Cool.
Yeah. I want to talk more about astral projecting.
Okay, I'm not sure I know a lot about it.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Well, when you're when you have clients basically doing that during a session, right? They're between realms.
Yes.
I just want to like know how somebody describes that when they're in it, because I don't know if I've done that.
Right. I don't know if you would call it astral projection, because when people describe these experiences to me, it's quite literal, or they really see themselves outside of their body.
Right.
But during a session, people stay in their body. They just kind of travel in their mind.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's slightly different.
And what do they describe sort of being in between realms like? Is it fully just like, I'm like, is it a human experience? Is it an alien experience? What does it look like?
It's
I'm sure it's different.
Yeah, it varies a lot. So, if you're not in the human realm, then people can see colors that we don't know here.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, it's so random always. Sometimes I find myself sitting next to a client, they're describing a different planet, and I'm just so curious and fascinated, and like, what did buildings look like, or is there plant life? And then I heard myself ask one time, "Do you have cats?"
Are there cats there?
Because I love cats. And when they said no, I was like making a mental note. Your planet
Don't
sucks.
go there.
I'm never going there. Yeah.
That's funny.
So.
I'm curious if you're comfortable sharing, what your personal past lives are.
Yeah, I had a couple of alien ones and then some human ones, the ones that I remember. A couple ones as an orphan, twice, like one time as a man and one time as a woman, some healers, lifetimes. And then the alien ones were, one time I was more of a manufactured being, and I was on a planet where there were humanoids. They looked like people.
Whoa.
And they lived in like domes. And my body was manufactured. So it was kind of foamy, like it was white foam.
Whoa.
And then
I'm imagining the Michelin Man, like you.
yeah, I mean, I was not as bulky, but more slender.
More svelte.
And then me and the other ones that came out of the factory, we were sort of life force was put into us, and we were just there to work the utilities. So we were housed in a big silo, like in a big cylindrical silo, and then we would go into that dome where the humans lived, or the humanoids. And I would have to like take care of like the plumbing and the electricity of the versions of that on that planet. Wow. And in that lifetime, I, by accident, I guess, had more of an emotional sense about myself. There was more than life force. There was a bit of soul was there as well. So it was kind of a lonely existence, and it kind of tapped into my life right now. There was another alien life where I looked like a piece of chalk or selenite. Yeah, it was really weird.
Wow.
And I found myself sitting with people in the Amazon forest, and they had put clothes on me to make me look more like them. Whoa. And I was relaying concepts of like life, or how to do healing, or to grow food. And I was doing this by sort of vibrating out sounds. And within the sounds and the vibrations, there was this information embedded within it. So those were interesting.
Wow.
And there was one lifetime, that was my higher self telling me then that there was a big part of me that is from the Pleiades.
Palladian?
Pleiades. Like,
Pilates? Yeah, that's a
from
no.
Pilates. A big part just came from Pilates class, yeah. So this is a thing that comes forward quite a bit now, especially with the younger generation, that people find out about their starseed nature.
Yeah.
So that they... a lot of people on the planet right now, they come in with the vibration of a different planet where people live more evolved lives. I'm saying people, but beings, like where there's more of a vibration of love, and there's more kindness. And so many of us that do not feel at home here, and that have problems with the brutality and the cruelty and the sort of muggled, ways of thinking and existing on the planet, you're not wrong. This is quite stupid down here. And what you know to be true, that is where you're from, and you're here to help raise the frequency of consciousness on the planet.
So I have a friend that is she thinks she is being like taken back and forth.
Yes.
Whoa.
Like probably while she's sleeping, and she sent me pictures of some bruises
Right.
that are really unexplainable.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Whoa.
I believe her.
Yeah, no, this is my normal, not my experience, but my client's normal. I hear this a lot. I've seen pictures of really like almost like seals on the body, like really odd sort of marks or scars that would fade. Like,
Is that malicious?
no.
Okay.
No, my experiences and Dolores Cannon as well, what she described, the book that got me into this work was all about that stuff. People were freaking out, that had been abducted because they didn't know what was going on. Partial memories. And so when Dolores would regress them, and same for me, when I regress people, then people go into these places where they find themselves aboard spaceships and there's tests being done. And this sounds really scary, but what we're finding out is that we are part of those alien races and that we've opted into, like we're hanging out with them, those are our people, and then we decide, let's go to planet Earth and help those poor bastards.
Idiots.
Idiots.
And then we'll check in with you and we'll make sure that your systems are still running optimally, that your tracking devices are still in, we can find you, that your implants are still making sure that your body runs energy properly. And then oftentimes they supply you with healing as well. Like, when was it, 2 days ago? This woman went into a different lifetime. I'm trying to remember the details, but it was we were in a sort of alien planet in this sort of shield-like structure where these beings were sort of getting together and prepping to go to Earth to help, and different planets as well. And in that place was also like a healing machinery. And so my client ended up sitting in that thing, and there was like energy going through her, and it was healing her life right now. It was aligning her with Source and getting rid of energies that were no longer serving her. Yeah.
Ooh, that's cool.
Don't mind me, just popping in to tell you about our incredible sponsors at BetterHelp. Is there something interfering with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals? BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 24 hours. It is really that easy. And especially now when we're all stressed and self-isolating, this is the perfect tool to get professional therapy without leaving your house. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today, and so do we. So if you want to get help with BetterHelp, visit betterhelp.com/basicwitches. That's better HELP, and join the 500,000 people taking charge of their mental health. Again, that special offer just for Basic Witches listeners to get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/basicwitches. Now back to the show.
So does one have infinite lives?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
you can get a past life regression multiple times and have different kinds of visions. It's not the same one each time?
yes. So a lot of people, have different lifetimes. There's also people on the planet right now that just come straight from Source. They don't have any other experiences. They're just like fresh Source babies.
Little babies.
Yes.
What is it called again? The Pallades or
I always say it wong. Pleiades. Yeah.
Pleiades.
Pleiadian.
And, Palladian. Yeah. Right. Would
Pleiadian.
be the
Tripping over my own tongue. Yeah.
yeah. And that that is a solar system, or is that a planet? That's a real thing in the sky,
Oh
right?
yeah.
like
it's a constellation.
it's a constellation.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Yeah,
system.
there's some other stuff that I won't share for her own privacy and her details, but that is like doesn't make sense, and I don't know what the explanation is. Like, there's some I wish I could share, but yeah, I don't think anyone could tie this detail to any person in my life without knowing them already. So
Right.
there's like some unexplainable DNA stuff going on.
Yes, that is.
like,
I want to say
what?
common because it's common in my world, but yeah, there's people that they're hybrids. Yeah.
Whoa.
So there's DNA from other races, and I'm not sure that it would show up on a human way of like
Testing.
but There's people here that are
23andMe just says, you're an alien. 80% alien.
Palladian.
That is what I thought when mine came back, and it was like 0.3% like unassigned, or we can't figure it out.
Oh, you're like,
there it is.
Confirmed.
So
Well, yeah. Well, I will say so which her effects, she doesn't necessarily feel it's negative or harmful or anything, but she has been like exhausted because it feels to her that it's happening while she's sleeping.
Yes.
And she's having like no dreams and just, being really, really exhausted from it.
So is there a way to, for her, is there a way to protect her from that or someone from that if that's happening?
it's mostly that when people come in with those experiences, that they go to their people that are, that they're part of their crew, and it's knowing that they are on mission, that is part of who they are. And then sometimes we can sort of tweak their relationship, like, hey, can you only do this like in the weekend,
Yeah.
or when I'm vacationing or whatever, you can put boundaries in place, like or make it shorter or make it easier. You just check. You're always advocating for your client, so you're trying to advocate for the human experience as well, because they often don't know, the
limitations of the human body, for example.
It's complex and difficult. So you advocate for that experience, and you see what can be done to make it easier.
Oh, go ahead.
Just for people to know that they're part of them and to feel this love from home, which is always wonderful. People start crying and are really happy to be there. And that kind of changes their understanding of their life here. And it becomes more of this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I'm here with this mission. And it seems to become easier for people.
That makes sense. Have you found that these people, specifically with the Palladians, having any special effects or gifts from it? Because this friend has started to see, and she doesn't understand it fully yet, but she's started to really visually see orbs and energies since this has been happening.
Yes. These people are often quite intuitive or psychic. There's also people that can move matter with their mind. That's also existing. I mean, these things seem really odd to us now, because we're in a place in our evolution as human beings that this has been sort of bred out of us, or it's not part of us anymore. But this is innate in all of us, and we've, as far as I know, we've lived in different human versions or resets prior to our current configuration, where we were able to do those things, like in Atlantis or Lemuria or Mu, different human experiences where we weren't so focused in our mind, but more in our hearts and in our innate sort of intuitive nature.
This same friend had a message come to her that she shared with me about the heart chakra, and she had realized that the heart chakra is our connection to the universe, not the third eye, but that the third eye chakra is our interpretation of meanings and messages, but the actual connection is heart chakra. Have you had any experience with that?
So, I mean, it's usually quite personal how, my clients, how their anatomy is configured. I know for me, my heart chakra is my biggest sort of focus in my life. And this is part of my mission here on the planet as well. I help people awaken into their authenticity, and that is powered by the heart. It's first finding the love for your own unique expression of source on the planet, and from then on you can help other people awaken.
Have you had any personal experiences in the physical world of aliens or something showing you signs?
Let's think. No.
Okay.
I haven't had. I mean, I've seen some craft in the sky. I mean, way up. It wasn't I could see what kind of craft it was. But me and my friends, I have a friend who has seen craft closer up, and so we go into the San Gabriel Mountains and we yell at the aliens to tell them to reveal themselves.
That's awesome.
So, but I have never, in my memory, I've never seen anything like that.
Okay.
I mean, I have spiritual experiences, but they weren't alien.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think is out there?
What is out there? I think we live in a universe that's teeming with life on many, many different levels. And so I think there's many, many different alien expressions or races that are out there that right now are watching our human experience evolve and seeing and helping Mother Earth to evolve as well. And I think there's lots of life everywhere. Yeah, not just in the 3D, but basically in different levels.
What is your understanding of time doing the work that you do? I feel like that must come up a lot.
You have such an interesting question.
I'm so fascinated by this.
This is great. So what we're finding out is that time is a construct that we've been using to learn the things that we're here to learn on planet Earth. We are learning through contrast, through duality. So time is needed for us to not blow ourselves up. Because in different realms, different levels, we manifest by, through thought, and it's instantly. So here on Earth, there's like a delay. That's what I think time is here, or that's what it's for. And we experience it as linear, but oftentimes when we talk to the higher self or we're in a different planet, there is no such thing. And even the notion of past lives or future lives, it's only, those are words that we give to these lifetimes to give it sort of a human understanding. But what we're finding out is that there is really no such thing, that it's all just happening concurrently or now. I mean, my human mind cannot comprehend. It's just like an abstraction for me. But that there is no such thing, that it's all just happening right now. Whatever that means. My human mind cannot figure that one out.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned future lives in that again, and I don't hear that as much as I hear past life regression and therapy. Can you just tell us more about that?
Yeah, it's really no different. So, past life regression is the term that most people now, or a lot of people now know, but it's the work that I do, the Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. Past life regression wouldn't do it any justice because, people don't just go into what we consider past lives, but they go, places where there is no time, dimensions, galactic experiences, and then even seemingly future human lifetimes as well.
Ooh.
So if listeners are like wanting to try QHHT, where can they go? How do they, obviously Google, but like, is there a place, a headquarters?
There is, yes. So you can go to, the easiest is DoloresCannon.com.
Okay.
And on the homepage, there is a drop-down menu. It's a Find a Practitioner feature. And you can just find your country and your city, and then there's a whole list of local practitioners that you can contact, and you can look at their website and see who you vibe with the most, and then make an appointment.
What is like the certification to get there?
There is now 3 levels. So I'm level 3. I'm kind of a veteran at this. So when I started back in 2006 with Dolores Cannon, there was only 1 level. So I think now level 1 is a week long of instruction and practice. And then there's a level 2 that I'm thinking is like 3 days. And then the level 3 is 1 day of instruction, or you're preparing sessions, and then you get sort of scrutinized or audited on doing a session the way that Dolores Cannon did it.
Okay.
So it's like a really helpful, personalized, guidance and making sure that you're doing it the way you're supposed to be doing it.
Wow. Yeah. Very
so
cool.
What were you doing before you started all this?
I love your question. So, my journey was, I'm 48 years old right now. And so my journey was a long one where I lived this life trying to be normal. I always tried to, not having enough self-love yet and learning how to love myself. I found myself in codependent relationships and just shitty jobs. And, over time they got a little better. I was a spa manager for 10 years while I was doing this on the side. And then finally I couldn't take it any longer. And I just said, I need to acknowledge my feelings and who I am. And so I quit the job. And at the time, a book came out that my work was featured in. And so people started calling. And, I think I Ubered or Lyfted for like 3 weeks to supplement my income. But then, my practice is running now. It's really...
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Was this all in LA?
This is all in LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you come to LA?
I moved from the Netherlands in 2007.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you had just started this stuff, but over in the Netherlands, then
Yes.
came over. Okay.
Yeah.
And are all the sessions in person, or can they be remote?
In QHHT, you can only do it in person.
Okay.
Dolores was very adamant about this because there are things that can happen during a session, like, people can have like physical, like the body will do things to release stuff that you no longer need. So I've had people throw up, or women start their period, or just sweat excessively, or needing to use the restroom all the time. But also like, intense emotional reactions, or just odd things that the body does to release. And you want to be there with your client to make sure that they're safe. And also, what if the connection would fall out, like, Skype drops out and then they're in their process and you can't get back in. And
right.
so because it's such an intense work and so many things can happen, it's better to be in person. But there are techniques out there that you can do them remote as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just different.
Yeah, it sounds like it's safer in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have instructions for people who are coming in for session, like come on an empty stomach, or is there pre-care, aftercare?
There is, yeah. So I send out a list with like affirmations, go for a walk, to do grounding, to put your feet in the earth. Meditation is good, to drink your normal cup of coffee in the morning, but not right in front of your, just before your session. No drugs. A little bit of cannabis is okay, but you don't want to be intoxicated. Those are the kind of the basics.
I love it. I have so many questions, but my next one is, have you had a experience while practicing that stood out as scary? Has anything ever scared you while working?
Let's see. Well, yes, there was a woman that came in, and so we were working, and there was this really, bad looking energy there. And to this day, I don't know what it was. And she had described that this was part of her life, and we were trying to work with it and release it, but it just didn't work. It didn't happen. And I mean, it looked like we did, but afterwards she called me and there was more going on than we were able to. It was like the session was there to kind of smoke it out of hiding. So it was seen, and then she would go on her own process to deal with this. There was a learning journey for her to learn how to deal with this. But it kind of zapped me. Like when I was in that session, that being came out, I had to find, an Akashic Records reader, my friend, to make sure that I was feeling right, because I felt gnarly right after. Whoa. And, we found out that this being kind of energetically zapped me, and there was like implants or, some programming inside of me that had been inserted when I was very young, and that had sort of pushed into my core, and that had me experience this sense of despair. And so she was able to take it out. And I felt profound relief from having that taken away. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was kind of scary in a moment, but I'm fascinated by the whole thing because it teaches me so much about my own energy anatomy, and it's also these unseen worlds that I had been attuned to anyway, that I wanted to find out about.
It reminds me of, because we've had R.H. Stavis, who's an exorcist, and it reminds me of how she would talk about her sessions. It sounds very similar. Would you say QHHT and exorcisms are similar?
It can be like that, yes. Yeah. So I've had people where their higher self would take, these like energies out.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure how to frame this, because it can, people can get fearful about it. Oh my God, what if I have entities and stuff? And I always ask about the purpose. Like what I always hear is that it's all God. Everything is source, God, source, creator, universe. And there's just different levels of experiencing. So there's lower frequencies and higher frequencies, and that these entities, as people call them, it's always contractual. So it's always a learning experience for people to learn, sometimes to embrace their non-physical self, or to become aware of these other levels of existence.
By contractual, you mean a soul contract, or okay? So that's the concept that your spirit of yourself makes an arrangement before you come into this life of what you're going to work on, and you
Yes.
kind of sign these contracts. This is a belief. Okay.
Yeah, this extends like throughout our lives, like all the difficulties and challenges and the assholes that we encounter, and it's all opted into. I mean, not from the human perspective, not from you as a human being, but from your soul. So it's like you sat together with your nemesis, before you went into this lifetime, and say, hey, high five, let's do this. I'm going to go into my life, and then, you're going to like be a burglar in my house, or you're going to be, I don't know, like a horrible human experience, but it is opted into. You decide together what kind of markers you want in your life to learn certain things.
So I have to ask, and then I think we should go to a card reading if we want to do one. What you feel about your human death impending? Because it is for all of us. We're all going to die.
Every day, one day closer to the grave. Yeah. I mean, I am scared of the process, just if I don't want a physical, like, what is it called? Like when you fall apart, that is not fun to me.
Decompose.
Yeah. Or like scary experiences. Like, I do worry about like tsunamis and all that stuff. Like, I don't want to experience that. So, but I know that it's just that moment, and that seemingly death is just like, shoulder shrug, like, oh, taking off a coat, There's no the actual leaving of the body.
Schmath.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing when people go through these death experiences during sessions is that it's almost like we leave the body before we get burned at the stake. Like before they light the fire, we're already out of the body, or we're falling down something, and the body, the spirit leaves, and it's just the body that falls to its
I
death.
recently heard
I think
death
so.
was compared to just walking into another room. It's like you're always
Yeah.
there, you're always in the house, but
Yeah.
you're just in a different room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm talking about the fear, it's about the human experience of like pain, physical pain. But yeah, death. I don't see myself at all as a temporary being. My husband is an Akashic Records reader, and he once described me as like that we're just shooting stars, and then we just shoot through the galaxy, and then we just dip into Earth, and have some fun, help out, and have some experiences, and then we take off again. And, physical death, as we understand it, is just part of the departure. Yeah. But we keep on going. Yeah.
Yes.
I love that you're with your partner is someone who understands the dimensions.
Oh, yeah.
Our conversations at
Because
dinner
it has
must
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it really is like that, because we live in our house together, and then we have a roommate who's a medium.
Oh my God.
She does mushroom journeys and ayahuasca, and so our kitchen conversations are, this
so
podcast.
deep. Yeah. Well, Leah and I are roommates, so we feel like that too.
Oh, nice.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
Okay, I have one more question. In your day-to-day, personally, how do you, if you do you check in with these past lives of yours?
Not so much about my own past lives, but who I feel myself to be, I'm most aligned with, earth and love, and the rising of the feminine that's happening right now, and what that means for us as human beings. So I go into the mountains and the forest and be in nature as much as I can. So actually, I'm planning to go into the mountains right after this.
Oh,
yes.
awesome. Love that. Okay, Leah's reaching for the cards. So we would love to do a reading for you.
Oh, thank
This
you.
will not take
Yes.
I
5
didn't know that.
hours.
Yeah,
Excited.
it's very quick.
5 minutes.
Yeah, do you have anything on your heart or mind that you'd like to ask for guidance on? These are oracle cards. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
Okay, figured with the life you lead.
The lives.
So you know the lives you
Oracle
lead. Yeah.
cards, that's Satan. Get him away from me. Let's see. Oh, by Doreen Virtue. She would probably say it's Satan by now.
Oh,
See what happened?
we
Yeah.
saw what happened. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
a Jesus freak
We saw
now.
what-
Yeah, she is.
Because we asked her
So
to come on the
weird.
pod, and she was like,
Yeah.
"No, like Jesus is the only way."
These cards are actually, she doesn't even want them being sold anymore.
Yeah,
Like even on
she doesn't
Amazon.
stand by them, but we appreciate them.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm going to give these to you. These are Jeroen's cards.
Jeroen.
Jeroen.
Yes.
Jeroen.
I don't know.
You
I mean,
hold
it
them,
can be
get your energy
it
on
can
them.
be vague. Like, what do I need to know right now?
Okay, good.
You can let them show. Yeah, shuffle,
Okay.
and then we'll do a deep inhale together. Hold the cards at your heart when you feel ready.
Such a treat. I should never work at the casino.
You don't need to. Yeah. Okay, inhale.
Hold it. I'll take this. I'm feeling Hathor receptivity. You too? Why did your mouth just drop?
Because of what that means for me. That's Venus.
Oh.
Yeah, those beings were from Venus, and there's some experiences there.
Okay.
Well, I was going to ask if you have anything to do with Ra, the Egyptian sun god, is what popped into my head.
Oh.
Not a goddess in this deck, but I wonder if Hathor has anything to do with Ra too. We got to look that up.
Sarasvati, the arts.
Oh, what's your reaction to that?
Her mantra is that's what I use for meditation.
Oh,
And he
express
has his
yourself
beads
through
on his-
creative activities.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What's the mantra?
I'm Sarasvati. No, I can't even remember it. I'm Sarasvati. Namaskar, namaste. I forget what it is.
Wow.
Oh my God, I can't remember it.
It's so ingrained
It's
in
so
you.
ingrained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Amazing.
Okay.
So, I'm Sarasvati. It's missing. I don't know what's going on.
Could you describe the card for listeners? What colors and what the picture is?
All right, so it's a beautiful image of a woman who looks Indian. She's playing sitar, and she's wearing a white dress with like golden or rainbow-colored trimming. She's sitting on the side of a pond, and one of her feet is in a water lily, and there's a swan to her side. She's sitting on a mound of what looks like white flowers, and there's I don't know if it's a disc of light behind her head or a moon or a sun, and there are some larger sort of spire-like plants in the background.
Yes, beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's very relaxing. Okay, message from Sarasvati. You are a limitless being. If it seems that you have time, money, or other restrictions, it's simply because your mind is focused upon the material world. You can unlimit yourself by lifting the cloak of the material world from your focus. Music is essential for the expression of non-material ideals and energies. Music colors our surroundings with emanations from the highest vibrational fields. It allows us to escape all limitations in our thinking and very existence. Surround yourself in music and allow it to stimulate your own creative thinking and to spark new ideas. Flow with the music and give yourself permission to investigate and experiment with putting your creative ideas into action. Enjoy being limitless. I mean,
Nice.
you are.
You are a limitless
Wow,
being, clearly.
that's amazing. That resonates.
Okay, good. Here's the various meanings.
Are you an artistic person? Do you?
Yeah, I used to be a dancer before
okay.
I did this, and I take singing classes. And I love art. I think it's a natural expression of all of us.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ah, cool. Okay, so various meanings. Play music, sing, dance, draw, paint, write, or do something creative. Study or change to a career that gives you creative freedom. You already did that. Take a creative class, invest in an artistic hobby, keep a journal of your creative ideas, join a writing club or other creative support system. And then I just want to look at Hathor and see if she has any relation to the sun god. So Hathor also resonated for you when Leah brought it up?
Yes.
Brought her up? She is an Egyptian goddess and Ra is an Egyptian god. So we both thought of Egyptians for you. Does that have anything to do with your past lives?
I have never uncovered a past life in Egypt that resonate with it, but the Hathor people or beings, I know them to be from Venus as well. There's a Venus connection, and whenever there's people in my sessions that channel Venus, I know that it's part of me as well. Yeah,
Okay.
That's cool.
Very, very cool. And yeah, she is the sun goddess and Ra is the sun god. So we both thought of sun gods for you.
Wow.
That's weird.
That is very cool.
And then Sarasvati is your mantra you already used to that goddess.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
So you must be aligned.
Yeah.
Well, I did have a past life or different experiences where, where a part of me, or I was given a part of the central sun that, I don't know if that makes any sense. It's like, we're all existing on many different levels and we're all everything. And we're just experiencing different focuses of the all right now, for specific purposes. And so I was able to experience, or was given experience of this energy of the central sun. Yeah. It's really
Wow.
cool, but that's what brings it up when you tell
That
me
makes sense. Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
So
thank
cool.
you, Sarasvati.
Thank you, Sarasvati.
Thank you, Sarasvati.
Now, where can people find you? How can they book you for a session?
Oh, thank you. I'm in the Valley, San Fernando Valley, in Valley Village. So I see people there. You can find me. The easiest way is Instagram. It's my first name, which is Jeroen, and then my affirmation is love. So Jeroen is love. That's my Instagram. Or my website, first name, Jeroen QHHT.com. That's the easiest.
Nice and straightforward. And then we end every episode with a basic blessing. So
All
this
right.
is something we're grateful for today. It can be big or small, anything.
You're asking me to...
Yeah, anyone can go
All right.
first. Yeah, we'll
start.
each share.
I am grateful today for my friend Erin, who I know is probably listening. She helped us with the Basic Witches live show, and she's a witch, and she's such a light. And Rachel and I are going to work with her at the Wing today. And it's just awesome to have girlfriends that push each other and lift each other up.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Very.
Well, I mean, I'm really thinking about the mountains. I'm really grateful for nature and the nature around LA. Like, I love this city so much because of all the beautiful nature that's all around us, the beaches, the mountains. So I am grateful for Mother Nature, or the mountains, the trees, the animals that I'm going to be hanging out with soon.
I love that. I'm very drawn to nature and the mountains as well. I'm grateful for Google Calendar today because I was thinking about how busy I am, and I'm like, but I can be so organized about it because I have this like free assistance from this technology. So I'm grateful for that today.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Give it up for Google.
Looking for that sponsorship. Come on, Google. Come on, get with the witches.
Well, thank you so much. This was
Thank you,
so
Jeroen.
fascinating.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Witches, this show is made possible by listeners like you who contribute on our Patreon.
If you want to join the Basic Witches Coven, become a patron. And as a thank you for your support, we'll give you all kinds of witchy goodness, like card readings and custom art.
We'll see you in the coven.
Hexo, hexo. Basic Witches.
Basic witches. Yep. Op, 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 yep, yep, yep. Op, 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 yep, yep, yep. Op, 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 yep, yep, yep. Op, 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 yep, yep, yep. Op, 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 op. Op, 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 yep, yep. Op, 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 op. Op, 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 yep, yep, yep. Basic witches, basic witches, pimp, 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 pimp.
Basic Witches.